Hey, so I want to do my 2021 recap. So I just want to go kind of like month by month and talk about like the big milestones that happened this year. Just kind of reflect on everything that's happened. So in January, one of the big things I did is I dyed my hair. That seems like not really a big thing, but I was legitimately scared to do it. I think I will dye it back brown. I don't know how long I'll let this grow out for. This was dyed in July, so this is basically all grow up till July because we dyed it back to like right here in July. I think it was up that high, I'm not sure. Anyway, so I dyed my hair. That was a big thing. I was actually scared to do it. I have this whiteboard. Oh, let me grab it. I made this such a long time ago. I actually think I made this right around the start of the year. And it was all these things that kind of scare me or seem a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I just kind of committed to keep checking those things off. And so that's why it looks, I called it like my bravery list, and dyeing my hair was actually on there, which is kind of cheesy, but I was actually so nervous to do that. One big milestone is I paid off my medical bills from when I had that breast lump scare. That was kind of symbolic of kind of closing the chapter. If you don't know really about this story, the reason I started my YouTube channel is because I had like this whole 6-month-long breast lump scare that just scared me to death. It was the worst time of my life. I had so many appointments and so many doctors were like, oh no, you're so young. But then it's massive. I mean, it's a massive like lump and it's like hard as a rock. It's like jagged. Anyways, there are all sorts of things about it. They're not good. And that just scared the crap out of me. That was the worst season of my life. But it kind of skyrocketed me into, let's take life seriously. Let's actually do what we want to do because your time here is finite. So don't mess around with this 80-year plan and you hate the first 70 years of it and then you'll like the last 10. Like, those priorities are out of whack. And so it really launched me into redefining my priorities. Starting this YouTube channel was part of it. Quitting teaching was part of it. And so in January, I paid off those medical bills, and that was kind of symbolic of like overcoming it. It's not hanging over my head anymore. So that was big. I think I cried when I like paid off those medical bills. The last big thing in January was I set up my YouTube set, which is kind of what you're seeing here. Before that, I would just be like on the floor with a couch or like in all these different places. And it was really at the start of the year that I got my microphone set up. my sound issues were all over the place before. So it really leveled up at the start of the year. It's kind of crazy that it's just been like a year that I've had this all set up. And at the start of the year, I looked it up, I had 893 subscribers at the start of the year. So I don't know, we'll see how many I have, I guess, by the time this video comes out. But at the time of this, I've 10x'd it. So I'm stoked about 10 times growth, 10 times the subscribers. I didn't think that was going to happen. February, not a lot happened in February. I was just chunking out a lot of videos, a lot of personal development videos. I think that was the first time of me kind of coming back a little bit to personal development. I've had the hardest struggle with YouTube balancing personality and personal development for the longest time. It's been so hard. And at the start of 2021, that's when I was doing a little bit more personal development again. And that's when I hit 1,000 subscribers. I think it was like February 6th I hit 1,000 subscribers, and that was a milestone that I had been looking toward for almost a year. It's 6:40 a.m. at Moxie. Look what I just woke up to. I should count how long it took. It was about 9 months, I think, if you don't include the random 2 fashion videos I did years previously. So yeah, that was a big milestone. I like found that out. I was in this little coffee shop. I used to go to this coffee shop every morning at 6 a.m. I would like wake up at 5, go to the coffee shop at 6 a.m. and then I would get to work at 7 to teach all day. And that side hustle season was so crazy. So it was just, I don't know. I was glad that I found out at that little coffee shop that I worked so much. Felt like I grew like a relationship with that table. I was just at the same table every day. So yeah, that was big. In March, not a lot going on, but I paid off $5,000 of student loans, which was huge. That was a big thing. I really felt that I wanted to get my student loans paid off before. To really quit teaching, I wanted to have my student loans paid off. I really wanted to have that chapter closed before I started a new one. So with every time we got stimulus checks, I would just kept funneling them into paying off student loans. So that was a big chunk. Paying off $5,000 that month, that was a good chunk. April was quite the month. That was the month that Garrett and I separated. And that was really hard. So Garrett and I have been together. We met when we were like 13, but we started dating when he was about to turn 16 and I was 17. It had been nagging on me for the longest time that I just didn't know if I had made the right decision. I was like, we were so young. I'm in such a different place than I was now. We're such different people than we were then. And it was really nagging on me if I had made the right decision. And I'm in the middle of so many upheavals. Like, I was still deciding if I should quit teaching and what I should do. And I was really itching for a change. There was something in my life that was not right. And I was in the middle of teaching, and then there was Garrett, who I didn't know about, and that was just, it was hard. I was like, I need a change, and so I kind of just decided to change everything all at once. It's like, hey, Garrett and I are separating, I'm quitting teaching, and we're moving to a new place, and it was just a lot. That was a lot. So I didn't want to get divorced, but we separated, and that's the first time I had ever lived alone, because I went straight from being in a dorm for a couple years to then being married, like right from my parents' house, and I had never lived alone. And a part of it was I had never learned what my hobbies were, what I enjoyed. I just would hang out with other people, and I felt like I worked, and then I would hang out with Garrett, and that was basically my life, and I hadn't really learned how to express what I want. I would just kind of do what needs to be done, I feel like. So that was a huge, time. That was journaling and learning what I liked and kind of some of my own issues and really reevaluating the decision that I made to marry Garrett. Like, what do I think about that? Like, would I do it again? And I came to the realization that, after being separated for a while, I missed him so much, and I just wanted him to be around, and he's so happy-go-lucky. He's so great to be around, and I just missed him so much. And I don't tend to think about the past. And like I say, just in general in my life, I don't tend to think of the past positively. But it was during that time that I started trying to recall, the positive past memories. We really have grown together a lot more than apart. We are very different, but we're different individuals than we were before. But in a lot of ways, we've had the same life experiences, which have impacted us in the same way. First day I went into school, I was half an hour early, and I just sat at my desk crying. And I eventually went to the principal. I was like, I need to go home. Garrett and I separated this morning. It was a really hard time. And I was biking to work, so then I'm biking home, sobbing. It was hard. That was really, that was such a hard time. It was during April that I found out that I was monetized. So I had reached 1,000 subscribers, but I hadn't reached the 4,000 watch hours. And it was in April that I reached the 4,000 watch hours. So I became monetized on YouTube. Good morning. It's April 16th. I just got monetized on YouTube. So that was really exciting, but I woke up, I was really sad. I woke up alone, saw that I was monetized, and it just really didn't feel exciting because I was in the middle of a separation and just waking up alone. So that was so hard. And then, so Garrett and I got back together, and what I basically decided was I want to change, but the change isn't Garrett. It's not that. I think it's teaching. I think teaching is the biggest thing that's really taken a lot of my energy. And when I had the breast lump scare a couple years ago, that was the number one thing. And what's interesting about that is during the whole breast lump scare, I was never questioning if I should be with Garrett or not. Then it was teaching was the one that was on the chopping block. I was like, teaching, middle school math, high school math, this is not for me. I want to get out of this now. And so it was really telling. And so in May, I was just in turmoil the whole month. I was like, should I quit? Should I not quit? I don't know. What should I do? And it wasn't until 2 days before school was out that I told my principal. I was like, hey, I'm going to quit. And he was really supportive. I told him about YouTube, and he was really supportive about the whole thing. But 2 days, I just quit my teaching job. This was my last day here. I'm just cleaning everything out. It was a lot of turmoil. I was really excited to have Garrett back. Garrett and I had a lot of conversations about YouTube, and Garrett was always really supportive of me doing YouTube. He's like, we'll do whatever it takes. I really think that you should quit teaching, because he just saw how drained I was and how unhappy I was. I liked a lot of aspects about teaching, but the people management, the classroom management, those are things that really take a lot of your time, and they're at the forefront when you're teaching, especially at the middle school level. And they're just not the things that I care about. I can do it, but I don't care about it that much. So I finally decided to quit teaching, and I felt so free. I just cried. I felt so free. As soon as I I told my principal I was on my prep, and I called Garrett and I told him, and I was just crying. I was so happy. I felt so relieved. So then school got out and we decided we're going to take this huge road trip. So we did a massive road trip. It was kind of like the end of May, beginning of June. And this really has affected our plans. This has really affected our plans now going on toward the end of this year. We went on this massive road trip. So we went down to Vegas, then we went over to San Diego, then up to LA, then Santa Barbara, then San Francisco, then Lake Tahoe. So we did this massive road trip, and then back to Boise where we had been living. And that was so fun. It was like Garrett and I had just gotten back together. We really had missed each other so much, and I had just quit teaching, and I was really just riding this high. I was so excited. I had saved up money because I kind of knew the whole time that I was going to quit, but I just didn't want to seal the deal, I guess. And that trip was so great. I feel so good in big cities. Like, the bigger the city is, the more I just feel alive. And coming from Idaho, a lot of people have been really discouraging about bigger places in general. A lot of people are really discouraging about California. Everyone seems to hate California right now. And I just felt so alive. I just freaking loved it. And I know that visiting is different than living there, but it's like I felt that I should be there or something, or like I belonged, or I don't know, the culture just felt so much more alive than Idaho. For my preferences, that's what I like. And so we just enjoyed it so much. And I think because everyone had said such negative things about California, our expectations were really low. And so it really exceeded our expectations. Kind of like if everyone says a movie's crap, but then it's like, everyone's like, oh, it's a 2 out of 10, but then you get there, it's like a 6 out of 10. You're like, wow, that's actually really great. And so we loved San Diego. We really loved San Francisco. It's so clean. Everyone said it was so dirty, and they're like these poop apps where you find spotless. It was literally spotless. I don't know. So I loved it. And so this really kind of influenced our plans to think maybe we should move away from Boise. We loved Boise, by the way. Such a clean place. The weather's great. You get the 4 seasons-ish, but the winter, it's kind of light on the winter, so that's what I like. And so we took this trip, and we had so much fun. We saw some friends that lived in California, and it was so fun. It was a really good trip. It was a really good way to kick off the summer. So after our California trip in June, we came back, and we had his brother's wedding, and I DJ'd the wedding, which was so fun. It really just taught me that I can handle anything. I was so stressed about DJing this wedding. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not outgoing enough. DJs have to be all hype and all this stuff. And when I got there, I was like, I handled it. And I handled it better than I thought I could. There was like no mistakes. I got really good feedback. Everyone like really liked it. It taught me that I don't really want to DJ weddings, that I don't like it that much, but I'm glad that I did it because now I have the experience. I feel like it really taught me that if you're unsure about something, like, should I do it, should I not? It's best to just jump in, and you can kind of always get back out. But when you're kind of sitting there, should I jump in the water, should I not jump in the water, you never learn anything. So it's better to just jump in the water, and if you don't like it, you can always get back out. And so that was super fun. After being around family so much, in July, Garrett and I really started talking, and this is when he decided that he wanted to start a business. He wanted to start a protein shake shop. And we had some friends who had started one in Boise. There were several in Boise. And his friend had started one. He said that he would help him out. And his friends had been very profitable. And so Garrett decided he wanted to start one. We're like, okay, well, we need to save up money. So after we had spent so much time with family and really liked it, we're like, let's move back with our parents and let's save up money so you can start a business. And so we decided to do that. Our plan was that we were going to do it spring of 2022. So we wouldn't have even done it yet. That was kind of our plan. So we talked to our parents. That was the plan. Everything was good. This was like July that we made this plan. It was like end of June, beginning of July. We talked to my parents. We were like, okay, spring of 2022, we'll move up and we'll stay with you guys for a while so we can save up money for this business. Then in August 10th, we found out that Garrett's job was cut. So he had been the worship leader. He was leading music at a small church. And since COVID, their income had just been declining and declining and declining. And then it got to the point where they couldn't afford to pay Garrett anymore. So they gave Garrett like a month or two notice. I think it was maybe a month's notice. And they're like, basically, we're letting you go. They offered to keep him on, but it was like for 25% of the pay. So we're like, no, we can't do that. So we're like, well, which we kind of saw it coming, but because we had made this plan with my parents, we're like, nah, it's fine. I can still quit my job. We can go live with my parents if worse comes to worse. And then it did. So we ended up, we're like, okay, call my parents. Hey, I know we're planning on moving up here spring 2022, but can we do it in September? My parents were actually really excited about it. It really worked out. We found out today that Garrett's job got a 75% pay cut, and so we're leaving Boise. We're moving, and I love this little house. I just love this little house so much. So Garrett and I went on a walk. We're like, what should we do? And we tossed out the options. Should he get a different job in Boise? What should we do? And we basically decided that we should just go ahead and move in with my parents in the next month. That was so hard because we loved Boise. We absolutely loved it. We had been there for 10 years. That's where I feel like I grew up. I had so much growing up to do. I had like trauma to process, and that's where I feel like I really overcame trauma and overcame depression, like some PTSD in Boise. I felt like I was really mentored. Anyways, it's a great place for growth. When I think of Boise, it's really like the place of my personal growth, and so it's so special to me, and leaving it was so hard. It was really, really hard to leave. Even we had this little apartment that I think years from now I'll look back and think it was like this crappy little apartment, but I absolutely adored that apartment. We'd been there for 3 years, and we loved our neighbors. We had this little neighborhood cat, and it was really hard to leave. I absolutely think that leaving Boise is an important decision that will be part of like catapulting my growth, but it was so hard to do. Completely out of my comfort zone. I really loved it. There are high chances I'll go back to Boise at some point because the city just means so much to me, and it's just getting bigger and bigger, which I really like. I really like growth and places getting bigger. So September was all about moving, getting packed up, moving. I had 4,400 subscribers in September, and I didn't really post any videos. As soon as the move was kind of imminent, I just fell off the map YouTube-wise. It was just too much, like taking down the set there and then having to get it set here, and there were so many people coming to visit, and it was just really hard moving into my parents' house and getting things going and trying to find the energy to do it. I was feeling pretty lost in September, I would say. Grief a little bit, like doing a lot of grieving. There had been a lot of changes. I mean, Garrett and I had separated. I quit my job. Then we're moving cities. I mean, it had been a lot. And in September, October, it kind of started piling up. And so I took some time off YouTube and I really started processing things. At the time in September, I was really in the mindset that I was just going to quit YouTube. I was just really fed up with the whole thing. I think I was just feeling lost vision-wise. When I had the whole breast lump scare, I just wanted to do something more meaningful with my life. And I didn't feel that I was doing that on YouTube. And so without the strong vision or doing what was in alignment, it's just really hard. And it was kind of getting to me, this nagging feeling that just wouldn't go away. So in October, I really dedicated myself to trying to find what I love to do hobby-wise. I just, from the separation and then coming up here and not doing YouTube for a little bit, I just realized that I was like, if I'm not working, I have no hobbies. And I really would like to change that. I would like to express myself creatively in other avenues besides work. And that's when I just got a gym membership and I tried all these different like dance classes and these things. And I took up line dancing and I loved it. I started getting a morning routine that really nourished me. Like a lot of times morning routines are like, you need to work out. And it's just a list of all these things that are like good for you, but they don't necessarily... They're like shoulds, or at least to me they are. And I started implementing a morning routine that didn't feel like a should. I literally enjoyed every single thing. And I started hand lettering. I started reading a lot more. I really picked up reading in October. Gratitude. A huge part of it is that 5-minute journal, but I just started really being grateful for everything that I had. And I would just walk through the day feeling so grateful, so happy, just in this feeling of bliss. And it was so strange to me because I'd never really felt that in my life. I always am looking forward toward future goals, and a big driving factor toward me like reaching future goals is not being content with the present moment. And I found that it really is a paradox that you need to be content with the present moment and be reaching for more, and finding the balance is hard, that you're not like too comfortable and just not moving anywhere, or too focused on setting goals and not appreciating where you've been and being discontent with what you have. But I was just so blissful, and I was just really enjoying my life. I tried to pick up the camera a couple times in October, a couple times in November to film. I was like, I should get back into it, and it just never felt right. I felt anxious so much. YouTube comments had really started getting to me. I don't know if you saw my interview with Lijo, I briefly touched on it, but comments were really starting to get to me at the end of the summer, like midsummer. And so trying to pick up the camera made me feel really anxious. I was like, no matter what I say, people are going to pick apart my words, and they're going to try to find an argument in something that I'm not even saying. They're just going to misunderstand what I'm saying and argue a straw man. And whenever people straw man me, I always want to explain, but I was like, I'm just not going to care. I was like, I just can't. I was like, I'm not going to pick up the camera. I'll do it when it feels better. I was like, I feel so anxious. I feel so stressed right now that I just can't pick it up. And I was just having fun with like real life sort of again. I had become so bogged down in comments. I was like, wow, everyone hates me, which is far from the truth. The comments were predominantly positive, but I was just getting so caught up in that I forgot that like, this is my real life. People are nice to me in real life. People like me in real life. I enjoy my real life. And I was just feeling so blissful in nature and just really feeling content. In November, I planned a murder mystery party. That was so fun. I love event planning. That whole event just really solidified that I love event planning, especially if there's a mystery or something to solve. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that. I started looking at my 2021 goals, and I realized that I had a goal that I wanted to create a planner in 2021. And I had not made any progress on it. I had made plans to do it in the summer, and I started working on it this summer, and then I decided I didn't want to do it. But then, as the end of the year is approaching, I'm like, I really wish this thing existed, and it doesn't exist, so I need to create it. And so I just went crunch time. Like the last couple weeks of November, first week of December were just crunch time. I was just working like 18-hour days trying to format this thing, and it really did not need to be so crunch time, but it really was. I was just on the computer 24/7, and it was a lot, but I'm so glad that I got it out, because now I'm reaping the benefits of it. And it's been great. It was also in November that Garrett and I made kind of our plan. So it had been kind of itching on him that he's like, I don't think I actually want to start this protein shop. And he was like, I really like music. And he's like, I think I would regret it if I didn't pursue music. And I just love people pursuing what they really want to do and the risky thing. I would prefer people to make less money in the short term to make more money in the long term. And if it really pursues like their purpose and what they're passionate about. So like, I'm all on board. Like I'm just like, whatever he wants to do, whatever he's passionate about. But then we're like, so what are we doing here? We're like living with our parents to save up money, but now we kind of changed our minds. What are we doing? And after all of it, we're like, you know what? We're still glad that we moved here, because like I said, it's better to jump in the water and then to go back than to not jump at all. If we were still in Boise thinking like, should we save up money to start this protein shake shop? What should we do? Like, we'd just be nowhere. And so it's just better to, like, if you're thinking of a decision, I think it's better to jump in. You can always jump back out. And so that's kind of what he did. And so we took steps, started saving up money for this shake shop, and you can always pivot. And so now we had this idea, and I'm so stoked about it. I know everyone hates California, but I'm so stoked about it, okay? We want to live a couple months in a bunch of California cities. So 2 months in San Francisco, we'll drive down, a couple months in San Francisco, a couple months in LA, and a couple months in San Diego. And then from there, we'll see, is California really as bad as everyone says it is? If not, we thought, everyone seems to be moving to Texas, so we're like, we could give Texas a shot. We could look at Austin or Dallas or something. We just really want the warmer weather. We really want the bigger city vibe. That's what we like. And we would like West Coast. So that's pretty much California. Texas isn't West Coast, but it's not East Coast. I don't really want to do Arizona. I don't want to do Nevada. So those are basically our options. So I'm so excited about that. I just think I would always wonder what if. Like, I'm just kind of this from small town Idaho. We're going to give it a shot. We'll see. So we're planning on moving to California in July, doing the Airbnb thing for a couple months, and then seeing where we want to go from there. And then in December, the planner came out. That was really the big thing in December. So yeah, it's been a super eventful year. Tons of changes. I hope next year is not so much. I don't regret any of them. I really feel that I learned a lot through these changes. Most people don't make these many changes in a year, but it was a lot, but I think it was really worth it. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate all you guys. I'm really excited to see what the next year holds.